How's it going?
It's good. How you doing?
Not too bad at all.
Not too bad. What's going on with you? You a little late again?
hmm It's called Belize time, okay?
Listen, I'm starting to catch on. So I say y'all everybody from like Central America down, y'all run on your own time. Y'all like, look, my presence is the present, and you get it when I get there. So what you
it's
rushing for?
it's a bad culture. It's a bad habit, but yeah,
It is what it is.
Belize time.
Look, but you here though, but
I
you
was
made
setting
it.
up my lighting. I wanted to make sure that I had good lighting.
Yes, we look, we love a good lighting moment. We got to make sure that the melanin is popping, the
That
rays and
part, that
stuff are
part.
coming off, all that good stuff. But how you been? What's you back home?
I am in country for a little bit, hopefully, um,
Okay.
because I was coaching, and now I'm back just waiting for my agent to get back to me so that I could get out of here.
Listen, and for everybody that watches this young man on your screen, not me, not I. This one right here. Just stop me or just tell me, add in your titles as I go. So we have a professional athlete number one. We could do that. We have a TV host, or we could
Mhm.
just say
A
a
media
live
personality.
personality,
Yeah.
right? You got uh collegiate coach. I mean, you done played overseas. You are caretaker of Bubbles. So there's a lot going on. You playing
Yeah.
babysitter, you doing a lot. So where are
Yeah.
you going now?
That's a good question. I do have a lot in my arsenal. I tend to tell people I'm a jack of all trades. And I do try to master all of them too. Um, so definitely I don't fall in that statement, jack of all trades, master at none. Um, but I'm a jack of all trades. I'm into environment. I was an environmental consultant, um, media personality. I did news anchoring for a bit, and then I also did a morning show as a talk show host. I am a professional volleyball player. I play beach volleyball as well. Um, I'm now into coaching, and I'm one of the founders of Beacon
into
Sports.
into coaching. Like it's just a hobby that I have on
Yeah,
the
I'm
side.
into coaching. I tried to get my feet a bit wet this past semester. I was doing assistant coaching at Edward Waters University in Florida.
Mhm.
And yeah, who knows? Maybe I get back into coaching in August.
Maybe.
It
Hopefully,
all
I mean,
depends on climate at the time because I do want to get back into my professional volleyball career in full.
mhm.
I had to take a step away just to get my health back under control. I had stepped out because of hypertension. Believe it or not, a lot of young people suffer from hypertension. I'm
Mhm.
one of those young persons. I look fit, but it's important to be careful of what you're consuming and take care of your body. Okay?
Listen, just for all of y'all, just take care of your body. Please take care of your body because you're gonna be mad in 15 years when that body start breaking down and you like 28 years old. So
And not 15 years, number 15. But then,
so I wanted to have this interview, and I already told you as well, but we had already had a nice little introduction interview over on Clubhouse. And I was like, okay, like nothing's really going on there. That's so much space for me to be great. I can go do
yeah,
all my stuff over there. Listen, it was not, we'll just say it was not the platform for what I was trying to do. So I'm gonna
yeah,
bring it back. And I know we had a great conversation. The interview is still there if anybody wants to go listen to it, but I feel like as I've been doing these interviews, the part that's missing is that interaction, that face to face, where I get to just
yeah.
like be myself and have a full blown conversation with somebody.
Mhm.
So I thank you for being here amongst all of the things that you have going on and coming up. which we'll talk about in a little bit. But I have a question for you. I don't think I actually asked you this, but why did you choose number 15? I think I meant to ask you, and I just never did.
It was the only number left in the pile of jerseys when I started playing volleyball. Listen,
Wait, really? Wait, stop. Wait, for real, for real?
for real, for real. When I started playing volleyball, so I always tell people this story. Um, I started very late. I started playing volleyball at age 17, going on 18, and I
Mhm.
didn't make my first club team until maybe a year in after I started training for volleyball. And I I think of myself as an anomaly because I learned the fundamentals of the sport very fast, especially at a late age.
Mhm.
So I was able to like really grow fast in the sport. Um, when I was asked to join the Jaguars club team in Belize, um, there were all the numbers were gone. So there was only number 15 left, and I was like, okay, I'll take number 15. And that's been my number ever since. So every national team, college team, professional team, number 15 is my number. And
Number
I try to
15.
make sure I get this number. If I don't get number 15, it doesn't feel right.
I was looking at, well, I would try to look it up if there was like any significance, and then it came up with like 15 was somebody's uncle's founding, whatever day it was founded, or maybe like Belize was founded on the 15th of whatever month. I was like, this, I don't think he really dug that deep into it. So I'm just gonna ask you.
Yeah, so that's how I got my number. It started from the club team, and then I just kept the number throughout. It's my number.
Literally started from the bottom of the pile. Now we're
Literally,
here.
I my logo, everything that I have like for my brand and everything that I'm planning to like expand on in the near future, it's
Hmm.
BC15. Be courageous
Mm.
15.
And I'm glad that you said that. So would you, because this just popped in my head, would you consider 15 to kind of be that sort of how you got your jersey number, kind of like I won't say a symbol, but maybe a metaphor for your career since you started so late and you like have all these things that are happening now later into your career, which by far you're not done by any shot of imagination.
Yeah.
But would you make those two compare? Would you compare those two?
I've never thought about it like that,
Okay.
but now that you say it, maybe because 15 was the last jersey in the pile of jerseys, the last number in the pile of jerseys. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, maybe I started late. Maybe it's the last. Who knows?
Who
I've never
knows?
thought about it like that, but interesting.
Listen, I'll be all up into the I'll probably be a little too nosy in these little interviews. I'll be asking all the questions. I'll be like, look, if we got to cut it out, we got to cut it out. But I just want to know all the tea. But 15. Who else has 15? The Checo? The Checo? Setter? Argentina?
Mm, is he 15 or 13? Hmm.
I know he's not 13.
I'm not certain. Honestly, I couldn't tell you for sure.
Who else do you share 15 with? Like professional?
Mm, that's a very good. You know, when I'm watching these games on like World Championships, VNLs, I don't necessarily look at the numbers. Well, some
Okay.
of them, but it's like mm, I don't necessarily watch the number of other players.
Okay.
Maybe it's just because I think I represent my number the best. but,
No, but that's what I was gonna say. Like,
but it's just
what
like
am I looking at?
when I always like see someone else wearing number 50, I'm like, hey, you're wearing my number. And they're like, "Oh, you're wearing my number too.
How do you
But
feel?
it's always like,
Petty.
hey, you're using number 15. Make sure you're the best player on the court, okay? That
Let's,
part.
because if not, we can sub in another 15 and we can make it happen. We can
Yeah.
get active if we need to.
Right, right. Whenever I see someone at number 15, I'm like, look, you have got to be the best player on the court.
Yeah. But just in the gym, just F the court. We'll
I
just
always
make
have this
sure.
conversation with one of the women's libero from Team Belize. She's number 15 as well.
Mhm.
And I'm like, listen, you're number 15. You're the best defender, you're the best passer on the court. And we actually came from the same club team. So we used to like practice
Oh,
against each other. And we're like, number 15 is just the best.
it just okay. Well, no, I ain't gonna. 15 just seems a little too excessive for me. What's your number 15? Welcome to 15. Number 15.
Number
I'm like, huh.
15. And people
But I
are like,
guess.
why number 15? I'm like, because this is the number that I made great at home.
Hmm.
And it took a lot of hard work, a lot of training, a lot of um, effort, a lot of time in the gym, a lot of time outside the gym, um, like just strengthening the mental aspect of being a volleyball player. It literally, in those 9 years leading up to, it took 9 years for me to become a professional from an amateur, which is surreal because a lot of people start playing volleyball from their 8, 9 years old. I started
Yes.
at 17 going on 18, and I became the first professional volleyball player in Belize. And so that is why I hold this number so near and dear to me, because it's been number 15 from the start, and now I'm a professional. I'm still number 15 on the
Mm,
national team. I'm number 15, and so that's why it has so much meaning for me.
mm. That's such a good story. Like everybody just be like, oh, I just got number one. Everybody wants number one.
Yeah,
Everybody wants to like number 0 or 99
yeah.
or something crazy like that. But that's a wholesome story. That's something that you could tell your kids and your
Hmm.
grandkids and them kids around the way. That's just a good story. So what did that training even look like for, since you did say, and especially going indoor, I can only speak for the States, but we start them young. I mean, you see some of
Yeah.
these kids out at the beach, they're probably like maybe 4 or 5, and they're passing better than
Mhm.
some of these adults, if we can be fully honest. Um, but what did that training look like? Just that mental, I don't even, what would you describe that like? Because it would have to be, it's more than just a goal at that point. It almost has to be an obsession for you to be as successful as you are in such a short amount of time.
Right. It takes a lot of self discipline. It's
Mm,
um, a lot of self drive. When I started playing volleyball, there for me was not a lot of figures I'd say to look up to want to aspire to be like.
mhm,
So I had to work. I remember going to Honduras for my first senior team. When I went to Honduras for my first senior team, that's when I saw this one guy who was serving the heck out of the ball, and he was literally the best player on the court. And I said, you know what? I need to go back home and work on my craft and challenge myself a bit more to
mhm,
elevate my game. And I said, because I want to be the best player in Central America, and I want to be at the top of the ranks for Central America. So I came
yeah.
back home and I put in the work. Believe it or not, during the summer on a kids volley net, I
Really?
started to practice I was a jump float server at first. And when I came back from that tournament in 2014,
Hmm.
I started practicing my jump serve on a kids volley net. And I just
Hmm.
worked on my contact with the ball, my toss. I started to make sure that I get enough repetitions, because repetitions are super important as a volleyball player, and I think in
Hmm.
any sport in general. But I made sure I put in the work. And during that summer of 2015, I elevated to another level, I think, because I just was consistent with it every single day on the court. And then
Hmm.
even at our club practices, I started to like implement the jump service. So I think the process of wanting to be better, wanting to be the best, is what propelled me to develop that discipline and that consistency. Um,
Hmm.
because I had a goal, and the goal was, you know what, I want to be the best volleyball player. And I also want to elevate the sport in my country to another level. So not only was that a thing, but I started to compete against some of the best guys in Belize at the time. And up to this day, I share the court with some of these guys, and they still continue to push me on the court. And so
Hmm.
it's a constant process of incremental growth that's happening. You really need to push yourself mentally and physically. A lot of people think that talent is what gets you there. No, you got to put in the hard work. You got to put in the extra time. You got to put in the time when people aren't looking, and that's what's important. Being able
Yes.
to push yourself when people aren't looking at you, when you're alone and away from the court, and you need to finish that extra set of push-ups or that extra set of reps in the gym,
Hmm.
or even complete that 2 miles run or something to that extent. You've got to be able to push yourself above and beyond. And I think that's the level of discipline that I was able to develop over the years. And that's what kind of pushed me to grow at that pace that I grew. So, yeah,
It's the reps. Well, it's not
it
even just the
is
reps. It's the quality reps.
right, the quality, because you want to be efficient with your time. One of the things,
Yes.
as I'm getting a bit older now,
Hmm.
I'm starting to explain to other players on the court when I'm training. It's like, listen, when you're at practice, you got to stay zoned in, you got to stay mentally engaged, you got to stay focused. We're
Hmm.
here to get quality reps, and we're here to make our time as efficient as possible. So we don't want to waste time. We don't want to just go on the court and be helter skelter. We want to
Hmm.
be focused. We want to be zoned in. We have an objective. We want to accomplish that objective, and we want to do it with a high level of efficiency and intentionality. So it's that type of mindset that I think more athletes need to develop at a younger age as well, to be able to
Hmm.
reach that next level.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% because that is what I'm going through now with the athletes that are at just in crossing courts. Is there's this mentality of, okay, yeah, like I can pass
Mhm.
and I can serve, but as soon as I'm like, okay, I need you to command the ball instead of just like, okay, I'm gonna hit it where it goes is where it goes. I'm like, no, we need you. It's almost like they're afraid to make mistakes, and I tell them all the time, like, this is a time for you to make mistakes, like
That
not
part,
when your mama and your daddy
that
and
part right
and
there.
listen,
Listen,
because
I get called out a lot in practice as well for making errors, and I have to remind guys sometimes on the court, like, listen, this is practice. This is where I'm allowed to make errors. This is where I'm
hmm,
allowed to be creative. This is where I'm allowed to try new things. It's not
yes,
always going to be perfect. Volleyball is literally the game of making the best out of imperfections, because most of the teams, in fact, all the teams that wins the volleyball match, it's from the outer system zone.
hmm,
It's the teams that's most efficient outer system that wins the match. And sometimes you have to be creative. Like, look at Irving Engapet, for example, one of the most creative, if not the most creative volleyball player in the
listen,
world.
for
And
real.
you can't be afraid to make errors. That's He tries a lot of new stuff, and then I'm pretty sure in practice he does it over and over and over again. He gets stopped sometimes, but it's the process of continuing to try it and practice it and executing it at a level that you're comfortable with, so that when you're in a match, it comes so natural, and you don't have that level of error that you had in practice because you did it so many times.
Hmm.
But
And this,
I always have to
and
remind players that, listen, this is practice. This is where you make your errors, and it's a process of making adjustments.
I don't know. Do you have some advice for me?
Oh wow! I think in my 4 months of coaching, I've learned quite a lot in a very short period of time. To be honest,
Hmm.
um, you, I kind of started to understand players at the individual level. I thought it was important for me to understand what my players' triggers are, and
Hmm.
having them understand what their triggers are, and how they could put themselves in a better mental space to execute an action at a higher level of efficiency.
Hmm.
And I think that is important. We don't speak about sports psychology a lot, but that's super important.
No.
Understanding how players perceive, and how they how receptive they are to oral information versus visual information. A lot of players prefer seeing something, seeing an action before actually committing to
Hmm.
that action. Um, a lot of other players, they're more oral instruction oriented. So you could just tell them what to do and they are able to execute it. But it's
Yeah.
about understanding how your players receive information and how they process information, I think is critical. And then also helping them in that process of understanding that uh, to be the most efficient on the court, you have to find your sweet spot. And you have to know when you're not in your sweet spot and how to get yourself back there. I think that's important.
Yes, that goes along with what I be telling them. I'm like, I need y'all to like we've gone over the foundation of this game, and if I ask you, you can like spit it out verbatim. You can show me, you can tell me that's
Yeah,
nice, but now I need you to get to a point where you can problem solve for yourself. If you can
right.
problem solve for yourself and you can really patrol your, okay, like oh, I shanked the pass to the right. Okay, what was I doing? Oh, I'm facing to the right. I'm open. My body's not open to the court. I'm literally, I'm
Yeah.
facing the stands. Like,
Hmm.
okay, maybe I need to turn my body. That's where I need you at because, babe, as a coach, I do not have time to pay attention to just you. I'm paying attention to you and them and they and what's coming up. Like I
Yeah.
just need you at a point where, and that goes back to the parents too. I feel like at least some of my kids, they are not encouraged to do anything
True.
outside. They are just not encouraged to do anything active. And maybe the parents weren't active either. So it's really no one's fault. But like, I asked them to do suicides yesterday,
Hmm.
just one
Hmm.
in 30 seconds.
Hmm.
Just baseline 10, baseline net, baseline other
These
tempo
are the
line,
parents
baseline
or
boom.
the actual players?
No, the players, not the
Okay.
parents. I wasn't expect. Listen, I wasn't expecting much from the play from the parents. I love them to death, but they ain't making that happen in no 30 seconds.
Oh,
So the
yeah.
kids are like, they're getting there and they're like, oh, trying to count down, trying to count in their head, and so like obviously I make them do it again, but they couldn't even do this one
Yeah.
suicide in less than 30 seconds. And they're
I
like,
totally
but
get where
it's
you're
so
coming
hard.
from. I was
Hmm?
literally like a drill sergeant when I was a coach at PW. And I would have the guys run suicides. And I mean, definitely it's an older cohort of young people that you're dealing with at university
Yeah,
level.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so you definitely want for them to have that self discipline to be able to do what you tell them to execute. Some
Mhm.
people just don't. Some people don't listen. And so
Oh
you
my
have to
God,
be
no,
that
they
extra
don't.
fire. You have to be that extra fire sometimes, and you have to be pushing them a bit.
Hmm.
But it also depends on the level of athletic development that they're at. So
Yeah,
younger people tend to be less, I'd say, less disciplined. As they get a bit older, they develop that discipline that's necessary to execute something upon command.
yeah.
Um, but if you see something like that at like the university level, no.
Oh no,
Either
oh
you're gonna
no.
do what you're told to do, or you could get off my court.
Listen, okay, okay. That's how I felt. Did you? Hmm. I think I may have reached out to you after I put that episode out. The episode with Morehouse College. Did you watch that?
Mm, I'm not sure I did. Maybe just a snippet of it.
Listen, you would have watched the whole thing. You wouldn't have watched the snippet because I'm gonna send you. I got
Did
mixed
they
reviews
did
on
they
it.
have a women's coach at the time?
No, they had a men's coach.
Okay,
Well, for the men's team, they had because it's all boys school, all men's school.
because I know now they have a women's coach, and it's the same coach who is the coach at Clark Atlanta. Yeah.
We're gonna talk about that off air,
Yeah,
but
so they're the Morehouse. They now have a head coach, their men's team, and well, it has to be a men's team, but they now have a women's coach, and it's the same coach I understand from Clark Atlanta. Very very sweet lady. I had the opportunity to meet her while I was doing assistant coaching at EDUB, and very nice lady.
wait, that's not the lady that went in at HBCU and tell all them kids that they was off the team?
No, actually,
Wow, I was like, wait.
no, it's not her. And I know who you're talking about because one of our players from Belize, one of our top women players actually, she went, I think it's Arizona. She's at Arizona at Pine Bluff. And I think
Okay,
it was she's at that she graduated from that university now, but she was at the
okay.
university before. I think it was in another part of Arizona, if I'm not mistaken, or but she was one of the girls who were a part of that team. And yeah,
Not you. Wait a minute. Not her being a national, not a player for her nation, and she did not make the cut
yeah, I
for her
I
school
don't know if
team.
she was cut from the team or if she had transferred or something to that. I think she transferred
She
though.
said bye.
Or she finished the I think she finished the program the very same year that situation happened.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
Because
yeah,
listen, I saw
that
that. I was
that
like,
story was crazy.
j- sister, sis said, if you weigh up to par, all y'all can get out. There's the door. She said, I play 1-on-6. I don't care. Try me. I'll be on scholarship. Poor thing. Well, anyway,
It's like
the
when you're in Florida, you always have your hats ready. It's the same thing like being in the islands.
oh, and look, and I tried to put it on too, but of course, it looks like a sombrero because I have
Wait, I'm
so
trying to get
much
this.
hair.
There we go.
Ooh, see, I need to get back into hats, but I'm gonna have to braid my hair because this is too much.
This is actually one of my favorite hats, to be honest.
Is that now? Where'd you get that hat from?
From home.
No, don't do that. Is it like official Belize? Would you
No,
say
it's not.
Belizean?
But listen, we could make stuff
Belisen?
official here.
But
I would
listen.
literally like buy this for me and my teammate playing beach volleyball, and we would make that shit official.
You better get your spot. You better create your own opportunities. Be like, look, we got these down at the gas station, but we finna sell these for $20. Well, we got them for 5.
We'd make that official real fast for you. Look, we could
Oh
go
my
and get
gosh.
some
Yes, and you
Belize
want pins
stickers,
too?
and we could take this to the production company and have them stick that Belize sticker right here, and look, franchise.
Listen, that should be okay. So I have this idea where I want to come out with um so like obviously I got my little shirts and I'm testing out my apparel and things, but I want to do these. I want to have like each collection, but each piece is like with someone. So like we could do hats and then we could just say, hey, and they could have like they could be the same color. You can buy the pins if you want, and then like put your nation's flag on there and maybe like a USA flag or something. We can make it happen because you know people gonna
So
buy it.
let me just clarify since we're on video right now, we do have our official gears and stuff that we get.
Oh, okay.
So we have our sweatsuit, our jerseys, our practice jerseys, just to put that out there. Because I don't want anyone saying that we don't get anything from the Belize Olympic Committee or from the Belize Volleyball Association. No, we do. We get our official gears.
Come in here talking about some where we can buy the hats at.
Yes.
You said there were hats, and they're
And if
like,
you're traveling to like Central American games, you get everything like your sweatsuit, you get your official traveling gears, you get your sometimes you get hats. So they do have
okay.
their official stuff. But yeah, I would make this official for me when I'm traveling
Uh,
for
that could just be an extra little sponsor for you, for real, on the
yeah.
side.
Hmm.
Why not? Um, okay, so one question I wanted to ask you, we were talking about you coaching, your 4 months of coaching, which how all in all, how was it? Because I know Coach Reeves ain't gonna run no trash program. I know he gonna have his things together. So I know it ain't a bad experience. So how was it?
Listen, do you want the full story or do you want the okay, let me be honest. All
Okay.
right. It was a roller coaster.
Okay.
Um, Working with Coach Reeves was amazing. The program was running smooth. Everything was intact. Um, no problems there. Loved working with Coach Reeves. Loved working with Coach Tasia. Um, Honestly, there is a whole lot happening right now at the school. There's a
Mm,
whole lot of shift happening with administration. I know we have a new athletic director now. Um, there's a new women's sports administrator coming in.
okay.
Um, so a whole lot of shifting happening at the university in terms of the administration for sports.
Okay.
That was a whole drama by itself
Mm.
because when Coach Reeves got released, uh,
Wait, wait,
to,
wait, 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 wait,
are you new to
wait.
this information? Come
Yes,
on.
this is new. What? Wait. I will
Okay.
call. Do I need to call him?
You probably should. You probably should. He'll give you the updates. But I could just say from my perspective, we had to literally hold that bull by the horn, and we had to continue working with the girls to reach championships because it was probably in October that he was officially released, I believe, and then we had to continue through November with the girls, through October and November with the girls, and we went up to championship game, and then we lost at the championships against Spring
Mm,
Hill. But
okay.
it was a huge challenge being able to manage that entire team and keep them together after something like that had happened. And then the men's team as well, like the men's program started at the school because of Coach Reeves going there. So um, that was very traumatic, I'd say, for a lot of the guys. And it was really, even myself in this entire process, I had to try and find a way how we could literally navigate this situation on a daily basis, along with the assistant coach, because the other assistant coach, because it was just literally like Jenga waiting to like fall apart. And so we literally had to find different mechanisms to be able to keep this team together. And now they have a new head coach, I understand. I think her name is Lauren Ford. She was the head coach at Goshen University.
The lady who find all the girls. Ooh, okay.
You
Wait, is it
lying?
her?
Is
No,
it?
is it?
No, I
No,
don't
it
think
better not
so.
be. It
No,
better not
I
be.
don't think it's her. No,
She
no,
gonna
I don't
fight
think
me. She gonna say she got you got my name in your mouth. I'm
no,
babe, you did it. I'm just commenting on it,
this
girl.
coach was she was a player, a professional player, and
Okay.
she also played NCAA Div 1. She was one of the top ranked players, I think, in her time. And she came back and she started coaching, I think, at the secondary school level at high school. And then she
Hmm.
moved to Goshen University as an assistant coach. And then she was the interim head coach for a year there. And now she's at EW. So I don't think it's the same lady from, yeah, no, it's not her.
Child, that's
But
so well, I mean,
they have a new head coach now, so I'm looking forward to see their matches this semester. Um, a lot of
okay.
girls have already gone on the transfer portal, so that says a lot. Um, I believe just yesterday another student went onto the transfer portal,
But
and
let me tell you something. These athletes will they will log on to the transfer portal in a heartbeat. You
yeah, yeah, especially when at the end of the day, um, the head coach was released at will without justifiable reason or finding him complicit of some type of irregular activity. And so that's what kind of I think um, frustrated the athletes the most. The fact that
so
this
wait, is this something?
already
Well, obviously, I don't want to put you in any sort of, oomph, but
yeah.
and I know you can speak for yourself. You ain't worried about that at all. But
Yeah,
is this
I'm
something
not there anymore. I am literally. I already told the guys like, look,
you
it's been
moved
a
on?
pleasure working with you all. Same thing with the girls. It's been a pleasure, but I'm going back into my professional life as a volleyball player, and I also see myself coaching in the near future again.
Hmm.
However, hasta luego. It was a great experience, but there's certain environments that you know you're supposed to work in, and there's certain environments that you know you're supposed to be there for a certain time period and for a certain purpose. And
Yeah,
when you've already executed that purpose, then it's time to
time to
move
move
on.
on.
Yeah,
That season is done. It's time to go on to the next one.
yeah.
That hmm, I just I don't know what to say. I don't even know what happened. But is it something I could just like look up as to
Mm, no, I don't think so.
no?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
You could give Coach
Uh,
Reese a call. I'm sure he's gonna accept your call.
okay. I was like because I asked him to do a um I wanted to do an interview with him, Coach White, Coach Powell from Alabama State, Alabama A&M, and
Mhm.
because they were the first three that like signed on to do the show or anything like to support me. So I was
Mhm.
like, oh, I want to have us all in.
Well, it's funny that you say that, but I'm gonna let him tell you yourself. So, yeah, just give him a call.
Wait, what?
Don't say
Me?
anything, but just give him a call. Think about what you said just now and give him a call. Yep.
Oh, wait. Did I do it? Is it my fault?
No, 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 no,
Oh, I was like,
no. No, you actually said something just now that's gonna be like, oh wow, like that's a level up for him. So literally, calm.
oh, okay. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna give. Well, when we get done with this, I'm gonna give him a call. Cause let me tell you something. I'll put him on. We can add another caller. We got lines. We got up to 15 of them things. I can have
Yeah,
15 people up here. We can make it happen.
yeah.
Damn, what? That's kind of. I'm seeing somewhat of a pattern
Hmm.
with some. We'll talk about it later. Yeah, we'll talk about it later. As we did that one other individual. We gonna talk about it. We gonna get into the tea.
Yeah,
Um,
but
dang.
yeah,
Okay.
definitely
Well.
the coaching experience has been a great one. A lot of tough, challenging days. Literally having to sit down and plan out an entire practice every single day.
Mhm,
Sometimes for both women's and men's. When the men's were off season, the women's were in season, but the men's were still practicing, and so we had to like have a practice plan for them every single day. And they were only allowed to practice like 8 hours for the week off season. In season, they could practice up to 20 hours, NCAA regulations. And so,
okay.
yeah, we had to draft up those practice plans, and sometimes it was hard for the guys to adjust to the type of philosophy that I had as an assistant coach.
Hmm.
Much of the philosophy that I had as a coach derived from my experiences as a professional player, as a collegiate player, as a national team player. And
Hmm.
sometimes it's hard when people push you that extra,
Hmm.
and you're not used to that rigid type of structure where you put in place like certain, like you have a certain expectation for how your um, practice is carried out. You have a certain level of expectation for their performance and engagement on the court during practice and during training.
Hmm.
And I was the no nonsense type of person. I literally, if the practice was not going the way how I envisioned it, and I knew it was something that they understood and could execute,
Hmm.
listen, all of y'all get on the line. Since you don't want to focus on practice, let's get in shape. Let's do
Hmm.
some running. Get on the lines. And I'd have them run like touch 60s. And sometimes you do um, a whole series of like cardio and plyometric stuff. By the end of the practice time, it's like tomorrow when you all come out more mentally engaged, mentally focused to execute the practice plan, or we could get back on the line again. And so it's balancing that transactional versus transformational type of coaching.
Okay.
Um, and so I leaned more on the transactional aspect in terms of trying to push their mental development and the need for them to stay mentally engaged and mentally focused. And then the transformational part is actually having them get more involved in like the hands-on part of like training. So it's taking myself out the picture now as the coach and not necessarily having to hit down balls or not necessarily have to be
Hmm.
chucking in balls, but having them lead the practice and them doing all the other pieces that makes the training effective and complete. Whereas
Hmm.
that kind of liberates me to be able to walk around and catch certain things that needs to be addressed.
Listen, I coach from a place where if I had these, like, what did I miss? Like, if I was a child, I look back and I'm like, okay, these are the things I wish I would have had. That's what I do.
Mhm.
That's how I coach.
Yeah.
So I like for them to be, and I learned this from Coach White as well and Coach Powell,
Mhm.
that this generation, they like to figure things out on their own. Like our generation, we're used to coach telling you like go do this, go do this. You're doing push-ups. You don't ask why. You don't really question what the end goal is. You just do it,
Yeah.
right? Like, but now this generation, like I guess they want answers, but they like to feel as though they are in control of how successful they are, which
Yeah.
can be beneficial, but also like I don't have all day to wait on you to
Right. That
evolve on your
part.
own
That
time.
part. So you literally have to lock in early and lock in fast because time is of essence. And that's one of the things that I value the most. How do we be efficient with our time and we get what we need to get out of our practice in the time period that we have? Because we literally have to log in the amount of hours that we practice for the week. So
Mm,
if we only had 8 hours at that time, listen, that means 2 hours on the court, two times for the week. That's already 4 hours. And then
mm,
we have gym sessions, which sometimes go up to 2 hours as well. So that's two times for the week. That's 8 hours. So we gotta maximize the time. If we're gonna do 2 hours on the court, and or we want to do 3 days for the week, then that's 6 hours. Then we know that we only have 2 more hours remaining for gym. So we gotta be
mm.
disciplined in being able to maximize our time. And that's one of the things I tried to instill in the guys. Like when you're on the court, when you're in the gym space, this is the time for you to like lock in and focus on what's being done. Everything else outside is a distraction right now. Forget about it. Leave it at the door when you step into practice time.
Mhm.
It's for you to be locked in, mentally engaged, enthusiastic, positive energy, trying to elevate your level of play and those
Yeah,
around you. Because
yeah,
one of the things I always tell players is like you could be the most talented on the court, but at the same time, that is not what will take us to the next level. What will take
mm,
us to the next level is playing for each other on the court. And so when I was on the court, I try. One of the things I always share with the guys is that I come from a training philosophy where throughout my years of development, it's been a whole lot of Cuban coaches. And the Cuban coaches are very, very disciplined. Like they don't play. Um, and
at
so
all.
I was very rigid. Sometimes looking back, I probably came over as a bit like very, very hard on some of the guys. But that's just from a place of tough love and wanting them to elevate to that next level.
Mhm.
But also having them understand the importance of developing self discipline and being serious about developing your craft. Like, if you're here to get a job done, you're here to get your education, you're here to elevate your level of play, you need to be serious about your craft.
Like you have to. Like I don't. You want to have a good time. Is it gonna be a good time with when you stepping on that court and you can't dig a ball and you can't?
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I try to implement in them an understanding of why structures and systems are important. If you don't
Mm,
have structure in volleyball, if you don't have an offensive system and a defensive system that's working in cohesion with each other, you're going to look sloppy on the court. And that's not what you want. You want to play
No.
clean volleyball. If you look at every single country in the world, whether it's USA, whether it's Canada, whether it's Italy, whether it's France, whether it's Japan, whether it's Brazil, all these countries have a commonality in terms of their fundamental development. And
Hmm.
it's on the basis of respect and discipline. And from there, they have these offensive systems that's fundamentally grounding. For example, even though they have their own philosophical touch and cultural touch to these fundamental aspects of volleyball,
Hmm.
they still have that commonality, which is, you know what, we're going to go for every ball. We're going to be
Hmm.
disciplined in how we execute our actions and our movement. We're going to be committed to our actions and movement. For example, the philosophy of Japan is that, you know what, defense wins the match. We're a
Hmm.
smaller team. We got to play faster, more speed, and we got to utilize our defensive system to be able to help us win a match.
Yeah.
For example, Brazil has a combination, just like the US, of speed and power. And
Hmm.
if you look at somewhere like Russia, it's like, I'm going to bomb the shit out of this ball. Either I
Yeah.
either I bomb the hell out of this ball, or I'm going to get bombed. And
One
so
of the
everyone
two.
has their own cultural philosophy that makes them unique. But at the same time, they also have that grounding fundamental that makes the game look so clean. And that's why we appreciate
Yeah.
watching it.
Yeah, I never even thought about it to that level. Because I mean, volleyball is volleyball. The structure of the game, the blueprint of the game, how to win the game, how to rotate, how to substitute, all that stuff. Like it's universal.
Yeah.
Um, but you don't really hear much about the cultural differences within the game of volleyball. We
Yeah.
talk about it off the court, like talk about Brazil. We can talk about Carnival all day. We can talk about Rock and Rio all day. Talk about
Yeah.
USA. We can talk about whatever the case may be. But we kind of fail to talk about I don't want to say fail, but neglect to talk about the cultural part on the court.
And the influences it has in developing the culture of the team.
Hmm.
Because, for example, Cuba, one of their mottos is Hasta la Victoria Siempre. And we know that goes beyond just the culture of volleyball. That's their national culture. That's Fidel Castro. That's
Mm.
fighting for their detachment, I guess, from capitalism and from establishing their own society and their structural society and the systems
Yeah.
that they follow in their country. And so that also is ingrained in how they train. It's fundamentally a part of who they are as Cubans and who they are as players on the court. And it's like it puts a mentality, it puts into perspective a mentality that they have, that everything must be fought for, every point
Mm.
must be fought for, and everything must be executed to a level of perfection, to have all these other countries that may possibly look down on Cuba because of their situation, to
Hmm.
understand that, you know what, this is our situation, but we are still capable of producing excellence, right?
Okay.
And I think even looking at, for example, like the US and just the importance of what democracy is to USA, and
Hmm.
the importance of having structures that are transparent and structures that are accountable and disciplined, I think speaks to the development of the fundamental aspect of the US volleyball program,
Hmm.
which is their guiding principle is respect, right?
Yeah.
And if you look at, for example, another country, for example, Japan, Japan might their their philosophy is based off being very strict and being very rigid in terms of a culture,
Hmm.
and being precise and accurate and excellent in their execution of plays. And you see that in the way how they play. They're very, very clean. And
Hmm.
so these are the cultural aspects that really and truly shape the or guides the culture of these programs. And that's what make the difference in terms of the way how you see them play on the court. But at the basis of all of that, they have a commonality, and it stems from that long-term athlete development program type of structure that most athletic institutions across the world now adapt. And I think that is what is important, to ensure that you have an understanding of that commonality, that grounding framework that's going to build, and then you build your culture from, you infuse your culture from there. Yeah, the thing is, like, culture is, so I'm jumping into my anthropology mode now because that's what I study.
Okay.
So culture is a learned behavior, right?
Hmm.
So as an American, what am I going to be acculturated into? I'm going to be acculturated into, you know what, this is acceptable, this is not acceptable. What is acceptable? Reaching on time or before time to a meeting. For me, um, that's something I would have to adjust in the US. Not not reaching a meeting on time is unacceptable. Is, if I get late, that's unacceptable, right?
Hmm.
In Belize, you might have a little grace period depending on the event, right?
Okay.
So something like that, I think understanding what's acceptable culture and unacceptable culture, as well as understanding that there's a whole lot of diversity happening in the US. Same thing here in the Belize. In Belize, there's a
Hmm.
whole lot of diversity. But I think what's, from my perspective, I think the commonality with the US culture is that it is a land that provides for the possibilities, for endless possibilities.
Hmm.
And I think that, along with the US having sort of this grounding culture of liberty and freedom,
Hmm.
I think is one of the grounding cultures as well. We could argue whether or not that is the case for every single person living there,
Yeah.
but that aside, I think that's the fundamental basis of what I would classify as US culture. Liberty,
Yeah.
freedom, having the ability to uh, challenge certain philosophies that may not be congruent with the beliefs of a certain group, particularly
Hmm.
minority groups. I think is being able, is a part of what makes the US the US. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
I would say the same thing. I would agree. Um, love it here. Absolutely love it. Especially down here in South Florida. I'm sure you
I
know that.
enjoyed my time in Jacksonville. I tell you that much. I had a
See,
fun time in Jacksonville. I had a fun time visiting Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina.
hmm
I was in Florida. I enjoyed the South.
it's when I feel like when you think of the South, you get that generalized picture of a white man like with a probably a freaking bayonet or a musket or something, probably
Yeah,
telling someone of darker skin color to get away from them or get off their lawn or
yeah.
something like that. That's what you think, just like our Civil War. But when you get down to it, that Southern cuisine, that
Mhm.
food, that hospitality,
Yeah.
that just it's very comforting. So it's hard not to fall in
Listen, I
love.
had some greens, and I never had greens before. I had some greens when I was there, and I was like, "Oh wow, I did not know this was so good."
Who made you? Wait. Okay, so what did you do for Thanksgiving? Were you here for
For
Thanksgiving last year?
Thanksgiving, no, I was in New York at my aunt's, so
Okay.
I was not in the southern part of the country for Thanksgiving. But
Okay.
I had some greens. I had what is this thing called? So of course you have your greens, you have your fried chicken, you have your mac and cheese, you have your cornbread,
You
all the
got
good stuff.
deviled eggs. Oh my God, that's so gross. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I was like, I had a blast in the south, and also appreciating the one place I wanted to go to was Louisiana. I wanted to go to
Oh,
Louisiana,
friend.
but I'm gonna
Mm.
get back there. I'm for sure. I'm gonna get back there for sure.
This ain't the last of me. Y'all gonna see me. The fuck?
Yeah, I
Well,
hear
what do
there's
you?
a whole lot of similarities there in terms of like the cultural aspect that's here in Belize as well. So I wanted to go there
Oh,
and just experience it. I know that they speak like maybe like French Creole or something there.
yeah.
Um, we don't speak French Creole, we speak Creole here in Belize, but it's an English dialect because we were colonized by the British. Um,
Mm,
so a lot of the people who speak French, they're from Haiti, and they were colonized by the French. So
mm,
yeah, but there's a lot of commonalities in terms of the vestiges of our African history, which you could find in like Belize, you could find out over the Caribbean, you could find in Louisiana, and that's one of the
mhm.
reasons I want to visit. I want that excites me as an anthropology major. I'm very much into cultures and the diversity of cultures. Back to volleyball, Maurice. Let me tell you. So a lot of people want to hear about my journey and this entire process, right?
Mhm.
I used to play basketball back in 2010 to 2012.
Okay.
Then I started volleyball. I started volleyball. I was just training with the club team. From the club team, I went to my first national team. I didn't get to go on my first national team because school would not release me to play. So I was
Oh.
not able to go on that first national team in 2013.
Mhm.
2014, I had my first under 23 national team in Panama. I was playing middle blocker. I
Mm,
transitioned from middle blocker. I went to Central American Championships in the end of 2014 as with the senior team. And after that tournament, I transitioned from a middle blocker to an outside hitter. And so
mm.
in 2016, when we hosted in Belize, we won bronze for the World Championship qualifiers. We're actually going to be hosting that tournament again this year in Belize. And so this is what is so exciting because the last time we played, we lost in a fifth set for the silver medal against the Dominican Republic. They won
Okay.
us 15-13, and the last ball that Wilfredo, very good friend of mine, we talk a lot. Wilfredo served the ball and the ball clipped the top of the net and it fell right
Yes.
over. Listen, I would play that moment every single time in my brain, and I'm like, y'all just got away by the skin of your cheek.
The that just leaves a void in your spirit when stuff
Yes.
like that happens.
But
It
now
that
this
is
year, they're not going to be here, the Dominican Republic. They had to come here because they had to qualify to go to the Continental Championships, which will be hosted in the
okay.
US this year. So in July, we're planning to host, and hopefully we get to host because we're the first ones making the pitch as a country to host. And it's been 7 years since playing in front of a home crowd. Well, at least for indoor, because in 2019 I played beach volleyball at home. But
Okay.
it's been 7 years since playing indoor in front of the crowd, the home crowd. And we have a bigger auditorium now to play in. We
Mhm.
have a huge volleyball support that's been growing throughout the country over the years because the women's won second in 2018, and
Okay.
then the junior team at home won second as well. They probably came in second like 4 years in a row,
Okay.
and we hosted about three of those tournaments here in Belize. The last one
Oh,
was
it's only
last
a
year,
matter of time.
and they lost that final game against Guatemala last year, and it was a fifth setter as well. And one of the girls who was one of the star players from the Belize team, I actually coached her. She's at EDUB right now. So she was actually the best player from the SIAC. She was the best player from the region, the South Conference. So
Mhm.
I think she was highlighted a lot for volleyball in the southern part of the country. And
Okay.
yeah, definitely a top-notch player. Could definitely see her going professional in the near future. But
Uh, I would hope so.
yeah, I think the process of like building the volleyball community in Belize has been really, really great over the past 7 years. So I'm excited to be able to play back in front of a home crowd. And so we had our meeting this past weekend. Um, with all the volleyball guys. So it was like 14 of us in person, and the other 24 were on Zoom. And we're getting ready to start this machinery going and this program going for July, August. Some of the guys are away in the US, and some are
Hmm.
in Canada. They're practicing on with their teams, and when they come back in May or June, then we all get to practice together
Mm.
cohesively. So May, June, July, we're hoping to practice together. May, at least 3 months, we're hoping to practice together as a
Ooh.
team. But our team has
Ooh.
developed in terms of the skill set, in terms of the talent pool. We have a lot of the younger guys who are very, very strong players. Definitely gonna be fighting for my space on this team this year. Um,
Okay.
a lot of the guys they're younger, they're faster, they're very aggressive and competitive, and they want to play. And
Yeah.
I want to play too, and I want to play on my
Oh,
team too. And
we
so
got a problem.
it's literally pushing me, not just physically but mentally as well, because I know that that is where my strength comes from. It's
Hmm.
being able to be on the court at crunch time and not crack, or being on the court and executing what I need to execute to help the entire team. And I think
Hmm.
that is what I rely on a lot in terms of my skill set, in terms of being one of the older players on the team now. I was once the younger player. 2016, I was one of the younger players on the team. Now,
Child,
2023,
get that veteran contract. You about to
probably
sign that veteran
probably
contract.
the third or fourth oldest player on the team. But I mean, for what it's worth, I'm glad I'm able to share my experience with a lot of the younger guys.
Hmm.
I'll also share my experience with some of the guys who are a bit older as well, who may not have had the type of exposure that I've had in the past years, playing college in Canada and then playing as well in Finland. And then hopefully, fingers crossed, in the next week or so, I'm going to be getting ready to either go to a part of
Not
Europe.
either. There's choices, and next week is when you're supposed to head out. What is this? This is okay. We need
We'll talk offline. I don't want to
okay.
put it out
I'm
there as
like,
yet. I don't want to put it out there
ooh.
as yet, but yeah, I'm looking to go and play across the Atlantic.
Okay. There's like a whole new world across the Atlantic. There's
It
so
might
much
be
land.
it might be
Oh,
Europe, it could be Asia.
right.
Don't know as
Well,
yet.
we know you're not going to Brazil, so there's there's
Listen,
that.
if it was Brazil, let's go.
Listen, I might
I
not
know
come
a lot
back
of
because
players
Brazil.
who are playing in Brazil actually, and one of my
Child.
one of my very good friends from volleyball, she that we met in Finland, she's from Brazil, and she's always like, there's a very good league in Brazil as well. I'm like, yeah, I know, and she's like, yeah, but us Brazilians, we want to see other parts of the world too, so we just traverse across Europe and Asia and get the experience. I
Everywhere.
think everyone, after a certain period of time, they want to leave the nest
Yeah.
and they want to explore the world. That's one of the things I love the most about being an athlete. I get to experience different cultures, I get to experience different countries, um,
Hmm.
the systems that they operate in, and the structures, and also get to appreciate new languages,
Yeah.
foods, and that's what make I think this experience so wholesome. Um, Being able to grow and understand different types of philosophies coming from different types of coaches and trainers.
Hmm.
I mean, it's a part of the growing process that makes me so open-minded to learning and having that learner's mindset. Even though I'm getting older in the sport and more experienced, I still have that learner's mindset because I understand that what I might do here in my country is not how they do it in another country, and it's being able to be flexible and being able to adapt is what makes a great player.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like off the fly too. Like you shouldn't have to think about it. Like it should just be natural. Like oh boom, like I just got to do it. Automatic. And my
Yeah.
question to you now is now that you've done your coaching on the NCAA level, on the collegiate level. You've played professional, both beach and indoor. I mean, you have had quite a colorful career so far, and it's not even far from over. Um,
Yeah.
but my question is, and I cut you off a little sooner earlier when you were getting into the school, and so or your school. So I wanted to talk to you about all of this experience that you've had in a very short life so far, and how do you plan on pouring that into the next generation of athletes, the next generation of scholars, number one, and just human beings, um, just good people. That's what we need. We need good people. So
Yeah.
can you
So
speak on that?
one of the things I haven't spoken about as yet is the fact that I am the founder of a foundation called BK Sports. And this started back in 2017, my brother and I. And we literally started this foundation because we wanted to see more athletic opportunities for some of the great talents coming out of our country. And understanding that our country is not in a space where sports is seen holistically as a developmental tool for the growth and development of young people
Mhm.
and their ability to access education. It's changing a bit now because we've been advocating for it throughout the years since our establishment. We've been able to secure over $2 million in scholarships for um,
Okay.
student athletes from our country. Just yesterday, um, one of the athletes that we represented received his visa to go in the US and play. So
Oh, congratulations to
so
him.
yeah, we're definitely growing, and we're in the process now of starting what will be called the Edwards Academy, and
The
it will
what did you say?
the Edwards Academy. So
Edwards Academy. That's
yeah,
not what I heard. That's not what I heard.
so it's a project that started in the living room. The idea actually started in the living room, and I'm sharing this is exclusive information because honestly, I've never spoken to anyone about it. Um,
I don't know
except
why y'all get up on here and then y'all be telling me all the good stuff. Like everybody
but
be like, don't nobody know this. I'm like, well, they do now.
but in the near future, we're looking to establish an institution that's going to assist in the development of our athletes in not only volleyball but volleyball, basketball, soccer, and track and field. Because
Yes.
we know that it could be done, and I've traveled a lot. I've seen how the systems work in different spaces. I understand how the institution, the educational institution or academic institution functions
Mhm.
um, when you're an athlete as well as an academic, and I know the type of systems and structures that we need to put in place to ensure that this goes to the next level. And
Mhm.
I thought that the only way for us to be able to hold true to what those structures and systems would be is if we would start this project from our foundation and we're able to navigate that process with like-minded people who have an interest in seeing sports being a developmental tool. So that's what we're doing right now. Yeah, we
Oh,
we are working a lot behind the scenes to get this hopefully finished in 2024. So,
best of luck.
so that's some good news right there.
Hmm. That's a lot of good news. That's what we need. But see, like that's what we need more of. We need more. It's we don't need more volleyball. I we need it's just more quality of
Yeah.
what we are putting out. There's a lot of the same stuff out, and just opportunity wise and just almost
Mhm.
this perception on volleyball, like if you don't go to this club then you're not really that good. If you don't play D1 then your talent it's kind of like capped
Listen,
out.
let me break this down once more and once and for all. All right.
Do it, get them
I did
together.
not go to Long Beach. I did not go to UCLA. I did not go to in the big schools in Trinity Western in Canada. I
Mm-hmm.
did not go to University of Alberta. Let me be honest. I had about 10 offers from these huge universities in Canada, and I did
Mm-hmm.
not take any of them because I appreciated the program that I was in when I first started Canada. And our coach was very detail oriented. He was very much into structure and systems, and he pushed me. And I feel like the level of focus that I got and attention that I got from that coach um, was one that I would not find somewhere else if I had moved.
Mm.
Um, just because it's not every single coach that looks at the details like he did.
Yeah.
Um, but it's being able to appreciate the space you're in, as well as understanding that your level of playing is not determined by the population of your school or the category that your school falls under. So yes, there are certain bigger schools and there are bigger players and they go for the best players. That's a minutiae view of volleyball players. There's only
Mm-hmm.
so much volleyball players that could end up in a program. There's only so much volleyball players that could end up on a team. And let's be
Mm-hmm.
honest, in the US, for example, there's not enough space for all the men's talent that's there to be able to
No.
play volleyball. Men's volleyball has to grow so much more in the US. It's such a small um, area of opportunity for men to enter into men's volleyball, particularly men of color. And
Yeah. Yeah.
because if we're honest with ourselves, a lot of the men who end up at these huge universities, like UCLA and those other big schools,
Mm-hmm.
Pepperdine, there are certain networks in place that allows them to get into those schools, and there are also familial history. There's also history in terms of networking with coaches that
Mm-hmm.
allows them to get those unique opportunities. Because I'm sure there are better talents than a lot of the guys who are playing on some of those teams, and
Oh
they don't
yeah.
get opportunities because they don't necessarily have the networks that some of these other guys have. That's the first thing. When I was applying to Canada, I did not get any looks from any of these bigger schools. But after my first preseason game, I had already been contacted by the University of Alberta. I didn't find out until the following year, but I had already been contacted by the University of Alberta that they wanted me on their team the following year.
Okay.
And I was more focused so on completing my masters as opposed
Mm-hmm.
to going to another team. And then COVID came and COVID said, you know what? You need to go back home. And then
COVID said, "All y'all need to sit
that
down."
was like a whole next drama. But I think players need to understand that there are opportunities outside, and it's how you maximize on those opportunities. I came from a college program, from a school that's very small and close knit, and I was able to get in contact. This again comes from putting yourself out there as an athlete, the
Mm-hmm.
importance of putting together good content, putting yourself out there and maximizing on the opportunities that you have. I was able to make a connection with my agent, and he's now the person who represents me to be able to get these different offers from other countries. And it just comes to show that it's not one where you come from, it's not where you've been. It's about putting your best self forward, having a plan of action, and being able to execute when you have that opportunity to do so. And let your game speak for itself. Look at one of the guys that I played with in my college days in Canada. He plays on the Canada national team now. And so it's like he went from Briarcrest to Trinity Western. From Trinity Western, he's played on the junior team for Canada men's, and now he's matriculating into the senior team, and now he's playing in Germany. And so it's like you have to maximize um, your space and your environment and your opportunity that you have. And going professionally, listen, you don't need to be in Italy or in Poland or all the leagues that people yes, you glorify these leagues
It would
because
be nice, yeah, if
it's
you
the
can,
best of the
but
best. Of course, it's the best of the best, but you need to also recognize that there's just a small pool of people who ends up in these leagues, and there's only just so much people that can end up in these leagues. Um, and the pool of volleyball players globally, I don't know if people actually know this, but
it's
once you're a volleyball
massive.
player and you become a professional, you get a profile built on what is called the volleyball movies page or volleyball.net, I believe it is. Um, volleyballnet.com or something like that. And you have your profile up there, and this profile has coaches, it has team managers, it has agents, it has players. And
Mm.
you could literally see everyone's profile, where they've played, where they're getting transferred to. So this is basically like the volleyball page of like with everyone. Like if you could go on the NBA, you could see which team this person is on. This it's the same thing for volleyball, right?
Can anybody access this, or do they have to
Yes.
be a
I'm
professional?
gonna send it to you so that you could check it out. So a
Okay.
lot of the times you see the offers up there for all these big teams, like you see a Turkish league or a Polish league or an Italian league or a league in Kuwait offering huge sums of money, and it's to play for like one season. Sometimes you're ranging anything from 8,000 to 15,000 US per month, and that's what some of these players are making. But it's important to understand that there's a process of building yourself.
Yeah.
You could start off with probably making like 1,200 euros per month, and you establish yourself in that league, and then you build to another league, and the next time you go to that next league, you're making maybe 2,500 euros per month, and then you build and you go to another league. It's a process of building your resume, and
Yeah.
that is what players need to understand. Enjoy the experience. A lot of the players that I
Yeah.
met in Finland, man, they've played in, like for example, my Brazilian friend, she's played in Brazil, she's played in Taiwan, she's played in
Ooh.
um, Slovakia, she's played in Finland, she's in Israel now, and it's like you have to build yourself as an athlete. It's an incremental process of growth, unless you're an Irvin Engapeth or you're
Right. You could just go
Nelly,
wherever.
or you're a Grebenikov, or you're a Shoji, and you
Hmm.
are seen on the world stage with your country, then you literally have to build yourself up.
Yeah.
And that's just the
Yeah.
reality. People need to understand it's the same thing in life, like being celebrities. And it's the same thing in building
Don't get caught
yourself up
up.
as an individual who don't get caught up in the flashy stuff. All
Hmm.
right, there are other opportunities out there that you could take advantage of. Take advantage of them. And
Yeah.
what a lot of people don't understand, I'm so privileged to play for the Belize volleyball team. A lot of these players, when I'm talking to my students, oh, you're talking about this guy. I played against him. I played against him. I played against him in Varadero, Cuba. I played against him in La Paz, Mexico, in Baja California
Hmm.
Sur. I played against this guy before in such and such a country. And so it's like, yeah, you don't necessarily see me on the highlights and stuff like that because these guys are very much well established and playing with their national teams.
Yeah.
I've played against them. I've had conversations with them. I've met a lot of them. Had
Hmm.
the opportunity to train with Olympians from Cuba, and people don't understand. Like, it's for me, not necessarily the process of being idolized. That's not important to me. What is
Yeah.
important to me is being able to experience the opportunities that this sport provides for me, and being able to use that exposure that I have to continue developing the craft and developing young athletes that may go even further, will go even further than I have gone, and being able to also inspire those around me. I think that is what is important, to be able to use these unique opportunities to help others grow and thrive. And that's what is important for me.
Friend, what you got planned for today? Because I wasn't expecting to be on here for almost an hour and 40 minutes.
I'm actually getting ready to head to the gym at 4. So
Okay.
that's what I'm about to do.
Okay.
Starting back,
Perfect.
getting
Perfect.
into the gym consistently. So I got to keep it up. And I also have practice this evening at 6 o'clock, 6:30.
6:30 or like 6:30 ish.
It's So it's like the club team.
Okay.
I'm not gonna. Okay, let me be honest. It usually starts at 6. I usually get there at 6:30 because there's the younger group of girls who's also training with the guys at the same time, because we have this
Oh,
philosophy at our um, club team that if our girls can compete against our guys, and we have them play at male height net too, um, the younger ones that is, then they're able to dominate at the women's height.
hmm.
And so we play against them, and then after that we get into like the full men's training, which starts at about like 7:38, and then
Okay.
that goes until like 9:30 there.
Whew, that's a long day. Is that
It
every day
is.
or is
It
that
is.
just like a
But
today?
you know, in the professional world, you put in at least 6 hours of practice a day. So it's like
Oh,
you put
of
in
course.
like a good solid 2 hours in the evening, 3 hours, and then like a 2 hours in the morning as well. So you get in like a really solid practice every single day as a professional athlete.
Well, friend, thank you so much for giving me some of your time, quite a bit of your time.
Always a
Um,
pleasure.
I will be reaching out to you soon. Oh, and then can you tell the people where they can find you on the social media? Because I only know Instagram, but I don't know if you be in other stuff.
You could find me on social media at Bryton Codd, BrytonCodd, on Instagram and on Facebook.
Oh, on Facebook too? I don't have Facebook. Facebook was showing me the same stuff. I'm gonna talk to you later. I need to call Coach Reeves at some point. I don't know if I need to do that today at this very moment because I feel like he might want to talk and I need a
Let me
breather.
know what
So
you do, because that should be interesting.
thinking one thing and then I go into it and be like, well, shit. Ooh, but okay,
Yeah.
okay. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is our episode. So have a wonderful day, and we will see you on the next one, friends. Thank you so much. I'll see you soon.